They laughed at him, mocked him, and called him worthless. But what they didn't know was that he wasn't just a homeless man, he was hiding a secret that would change everything. On a cold morning in the city, the streets buzzed with hurried commuters, while an unnoticed man sat quietly on the corner of a busy intersection. His ragged clothes, unkempt hair, and weary eyes painted the picture of a life defeated by circumstance. People passed by, offering no more than a fleeting glance, some muttering under their breath or chuckling at his disheveled appearance. But there was one group that couldn't help but laugh louder. A trio of well-dressed strangers, clearly affluent, stood across the street, making cruel remarks about the man. They whispered, "Look at him, he's probably been out here for years, a lost cause." One of them even tossed a few coins at his feet with a sneer, as if offering charity. Their laughter echoed in the cold air, mocking him without a second thought. The man, sitting with his hands clasped in front of him, remained calm, unmoved. There was something about him, something unshakable, despite the cruelty. The strangers didn't notice, but the air around him was charged with a strange energy, as though he wasn't as lost as they thought. As the group walked away, their voices carried a hushed, almost conspiratorial tone. One of them, a man named Daniel, mentioned something about a hidden fortune. The others laughed it off, dismissing the comment as a joke. But in the dim alleyways of the city, a quiet whisper had spread among the homeless for years. "Do you know about the man on the corner?" they'd say. "They say he's not just any homeless guy, he's been to places, seen things, and he might be richer than anyone knows." The legend was as strange as it was elusive. Some said he'd once been a businessman, others that he was connected to old money, or maybe even buried treasure. But no one truly knew the truth. Later that afternoon, as the sun dipped low in the sky, Daniel returned alone. He had left his friends behind, his curiosity gnawing at him. There was something about the man that had unsettled him. He approached the corner where the homeless man sat, his eyes scanning the area as if searching for something. "Hey," Daniel called, his voice softening. "I didn't mean to offend you earlier. I just thought it was all a joke." The man didn't respond immediately, his eyes hidden under the brim of his worn hat. Daniel continued, "I've been thinking, is there something you want to say?" Finally, the man looked up. His gaze was sharp, intense, like someone who had seen too much, yet said too little. He leaned forward, his voice steady but low. "You're right about one thing," he said. "It's a joke. But not the one you think." Daniel's heart raced as the man paused, the tension between them palpable. "What do you mean?" he asked, leaning in. Without warning, the man reached into his jacket pocket, pulling out a small, intricately carved wooden box. He placed it gently in Daniel's hands. The box was old, much older than anything Daniel had ever seen, and it hummed with an aura of mystery. "Inside this box," the man whispered, "is everything I've ever owned. Everything I've ever worked for." Daniel opened the box carefully, and inside, hidden among ancient papers, lay a key, one that seemed out of place in the modern world. "This is the key to something bigger. Something no one would ever guess a homeless man might have." Daniel, now completely entranced, asked, "Where does this key lead?" The man's eyes gleamed. "You'll find out soon enough." Just as Daniel was about to ask more, the man stood abruptly and turned to walk away. Daniel watched, perplexed, as the man disappeared into the crowd. He was left alone with the wooden box and the mysterious key. The next day, Daniel couldn't resist. He traced the key's origins, eventually uncovering a series of locked doors, literal and metaphorical, that led him into the hidden underworld of forgotten wealth, untold secrets, and a dark history that few could have ever imagined. But the further he went, the more he realized the truth was far more complicated than anyone could have guessed. The homeless man wasn't just a former millionaire, he was the last in a line of forgotten kings, hidden away for protection, with a treasure that had the power to change the world. Weeks passed, and Daniel's obsession with the mystery grew. The questions lingered, and with them, the chilling realization that the mystery was far from over. What would Daniel do with the knowledge he now possessed? And what had the homeless man truly hidden? One thing was for certain: no one would ever look at him the same way again. But as the final pieces of the puzzle came together, Daniel was left with more questions than answers. The twists and turns were only just beginning.